What up, YouTube? Knowledge of self-determination. So, I wanted to talk about boxing today. I wanted to talk about Vasyl Lomachenko and whether I consider him top 5 pound for pound. Again, as you guys know, I don't make a pound for pound list. I don't make pound for pound lists because they're totally subjective. And in my opinion, it's pointless, It's pointless because right now, we're just now starting to get the best actually fighting the best. But I think it's pointless because everybody has their own criteria, And even when people use similar criteria, the criteria changes for certain fighters. Like for instance, like Erickson Lubin. I think Erickson Lubin is the goods based on what he's displayed in the ring, his power, his ability to adapt and adjust in the ring. I think he's the goods. But do I think he's a pound for pound fighter? No. But I think he's the goods though, right? And based on his present performances, you can kind of see how he might do in the future with future opponents as they continue to build his career, right? But name me a fighter in history that has a loss in their second fight, less than 10 fights, and has ever been considered top 5 pound for pound with less than 10 fights. You know what I'm saying? Virgil Hunter said that fighters are getting credit for how they look in a fight. For how they look in a fight. You know what I'm saying? They get credit for looking good in a fight against, subpar competition. Like Gennady Golovkin. We're giving people credit for how good they look. Not for who they beat or the competition that they beat, but how good they look. Now, here's what I want to say to that as well. We're giving Vasyl Lomachenko credit, or people are giving him credit for things that he hasn't even done yet. Because he looks like a phenomenal fighter. He looks like a stellar fighter. I can't take that away from him. His skill level is top notch. He looks good. But let's look at his resume. So let's look at the top fighters on his resume. Supposedly Rocky Martinez, who I didn't really rank that high, to be honest with you. I don't even think he should have been a champion, to be honest with you. But that's just my opinion. We have Gary Russell Jr. Now again, Gary Russell Jr. is the goods up until the point when he beat, or rather when he fought Vasyl Lomachenko. His resume wasn't that spectacular itself. His resume wasn't that great, but he was the goods though. He looked good. But when Vasyl Lomachenko beat him, all of a sudden his status gets elevated because Lomachenko beat him, right? Nicholas Walters. Now, whether Nicholas Walters quit or took a dive in that fight, I don't know. I can't say. I don't know. It looks like he did, but I'm not going to discredit Lomachenko for that win. So you got you got Nicholas Walters on your resume. Now look at the other 5 guys that he fought, right? Because he has 8 fights. The other 5 guys that he fought, trash. Look at their box recs. Man, come on. They fought garbage fighters. Trash. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Look, all I'm saying is look. I know at the end of the day, it makes no point. There's no point in debating this because everybody has their own opinion. But all I'm saying is, what other fighter has ever gotten credit for what they look like they could do, like Vasyl Lomachenko was getting? You know what I'm saying? Look at Errol Spence. Errol Spence looks like he could be one of the best welterweights to ever step on the stage in the last 10, 15 years, right? Looks like one of the best. But nobody's giving him that status because he hasn't showed improve yet with a A-level fighter, right? Nobody's giving him credit for what he looks like he can do. All I'm saying is, how can Vasyl Lomachenko get credit for what it looks like he may be able to do? What has he done anything close to what Manny Pacquiao's done? Floyd Mayweather's done? Andre Ward has done? Hell, Golovkin, right? Has he done anything close to what these guys have done to be considered pound for pound? I mean, it's an honest question. Top 5 pound for pound because he looks like the goods? Man, come on, man. Seriously. This is why I don't do a pound for pound list, because at the end of the day, it's subjective. It's based on people's pound for pound list, and who they rank number one or top five is usually based on the style of fighters that they like. You know what I'm saying? That or the fighters that they just like, period. I think it's completely unrealistic for Vasyl Lomachenko to be considered top 5 pound for pound fighter when he has less than 10 fights. Because we do not know how he is going to look. We don't know how he's going to look when he steps up in competition. Mikey Garcia is a beast, and we do not know how Vasyl Lomachenko is going to look in the ring with him. He's a beast. And we don't know. We do not know how he's going to look at all. But yet, we're giving him credit for things that he hasn't done yet. He has, from my standpoint, 3 names on his resume. Rocky Martinez was a champion, yes. But, again, I don't think he should have been a champion. So I'm not even counting, because I didn't even like Rocky Martinez as a fighter, to be honest with you. I've seen him fight, and I was never impressed with this kid at all. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I was never impressed with homeboy. But in any event, all I'm saying is, man, I mean, how can you take anybody's pound for pound list serious? I mean, people take these pound for pound lists so serious that they get in arguments and debates over it. You know, I may dispute something, but I'm not going to get in an argument or debate over your pound for pound list. I'll dispute it, but at the end of the day, I may have 1 or 2 comments that I may leave on your channel, and that's it, and I'm done with the topic. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say my piece, and I'm going to leave it at that. But today I'm making this video because everybody's going in on the Vasyl Lomachenko thing, and I have to give my opinion because it's what I think. There's no way in the world you can be considered a top 5 pound for pound fighter and you have less than 10 fights. You haven't done enough. You haven't fought enough competition. Look at what Errol Spencer's doing to the competition, and they won't give him any recognition whatsoever. Oh, well, we have to wait and see how he performs. We have to wait and see how he performs against Kell Brook and blah, blah, blah. Yes, Vasyl Lomachenko has fought Orlando Salido. He fought Nicholas Walters, yes. You know what I'm saying? Rocky Martinez, Gary Russell Jr., yes. He fought. I wasn't even that impressed with the Gary Russell Jr. performance, to be honest with you. I was not that impressed. I mean, seriously. And again, this is not to take anything away from Vasyl Lomachenko, because again, I think he's the goods. But top 5 pound for pound, based on what he's done thus far in boxing, no, that's completely ridiculous in my opinion. Does he have the potential to be? Yes, he does. He does have the potential to be a top pound for pound fighter. Yes, he does. But what other fighter with less than 10 fights, a loss in his second fight, has ever been considered a top 5 pound for pound fighter? Look at Manny Pacquiao. He came up eight divisions. No one even considered him a top pound for pound fighter until he became a welterweight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, seriously, nobody was considering him 1 and 2 with Floyd, interchangeably, of course, until he became a welterweight. You know, look at all Manny Pacquiao had to do to get to that point. Look at all Floyd had to do to get to that point. Is there some bias for Vasyl Lomachenko? Yeah, I think so. But that's my opinion. That's how I see it. You know, again, no shade to Vasyl Lomachenko, because I think the dude can fight. I think he's a very skilled fighter, a highly skilled fighter. But no, I do not think he's top 5 pound for pound with less than 10 fights, a loss in the second fight. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, kind of, you know, not the greatest performances against some of his bigger fighters, some of his biggest fights. I mean, the Rocky Martinez fight, he looked decent, but I think Rocky Martinez is kind of trash. He looked good against Nicholas Walters, but Nicholas Walters folded. But I'm not taking that away from Vasyl Lomachenko, like I said, because it's not his fault Nicholas Walters came into the ring mentally unfit to actually fight. You know, Gary Russell Jr., it wasn't his fault he hadn't had top level competition up to that point, even though Gary Russell Jr. was the goods, and he still is. But in any event, I'm just repeating myself at this point. My whole point is, you can't be top 5 pound for pound with less than 10 fights, because nobody knows how you're going to look. Nobody knows how you're going to look. You haven't been in any wars. They say the same thing about Errol Spence. Well, we can't really rank him up there in the top echelon of the 147 pound division because he hasn't been in any wars. Vasyl Lomachenko hasn't either, right? People say the same thing about Lubin. He hasn't really tested himself yet. He's the goods, but we can't base that off of him just of how he looks off of this one performance or how he may look in the future. But we can with Vasyl Lomachenko. Man, come on, stop it, man. Stop it.